Thanks for the support as a channel member, Brian Herman. It's transfer special time, boys and girls. Hello and welcome to part 82 of Bourne Again. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our usual season review and transfer special as we try and put together a team that can go one better next year. As you can see, a 7th place finish in our first season in the Championship was an absurdly good season, finishing just outside the playoff spots. If we can be smart, you never know, we might be able to compete. Not that we're expected to be able to compete at a higher level next year, because if we have a look at the team detailed stats, I'm starting here because I think it's important to get the context in first. So salary per annum is the one that I'm looking at, not Bournemouth, who, by the way, finished 20th with a salary of £65 million for the season. They finished 20th. We, on the other hand, spent less than £6 million on salaries and finished 7th. Better than Bournemouth. Bourne, better than Bournemouth. We all knew it. It's the mouth that ruined them. But this is what we're competing with. If we have a look, if we sort this, it'd be interesting to be able to sort this by position, but it's not going to let me. But I want to be able to show that none of the other teams that were anywhere near the top half of the table. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday were the nearest, and they spent double what we did on wages. Forest spent 10 million more than we did. Derby finished 3rd, nearly 4 times the amount that we've spent on wages. Bristol City, who were one place above us, 24 million on wages compared to our 6 million. We're a very small club, and even our £6 million is problematic because we can't afford to pay it because we don't have any fans. It would be nice to build a new ground, but I mean, I'll ask, but I think it's unlikely. Which one do we want? Because we want this sorted before we get to the Premier League, really. We don't want to be ground share when we get there. To help us achieve our ambitions without a rather sizable increase in fan base. Yes, but Premier League. Can't stress how important it is. Yeah, I suspected it might be the case. Sorry, Simic. But Premier League. We can't get to the Premier League if we don't have a big ground. We'll just have to ground share when we get there. So, what are we looking at? End of season awards. Why have we moved past the best 11? This is the Bourne all-time best 11. So Alan FA Cup Hardy has made it in to the all-time best 11, as he should. 108 appearances for us now. And, of course, he is the king of the FA Cup. So our all-time best 11... Oh, John Clark's made it in as well. Awesome, but only on the bench by the looks of it, because I don't see him knocking around the team anywhere. And we finally abandoned the 4-2-4 to do a 4-2-3-1 in the all-time best 11. Playing Mata in behind the striker, though, feels a little bit iffy. But our all-time best 11, Hardy in goal, a back four of Barnes, who's obviously still here, probably in his last year on loan. I don't know if I'm going to bring Barnes back with that young left back that we've got coming through. O'Driscoll, who we signed permanently in the summer after his loans, and they never really played him. So O'Driscoll was maybe a poor signing. Wiggett, who's now playing for Sheffield Wednesday, but on the transfer list for them. Playing is a strong word for it. Probably not a Championship player either. And Dodd at right back, who I think is kind of there by default because he's been here so long and played so many games, but I'd question whether he's the best right back we've ever had. Dean and Smith in midfield. Can't really argue with that if we're looking at long-term contribution or just being better. Certainly, and on their day, they were both head and shoulders above their teammates. Dean in League Two and Smith many years before. Coots, Mata and Leahy supporting Hector Ingram up front. And we know Hector Ingram's retired. Taylor Coots, what's he up to these days? Still in the Newcastle under-23s. Not played a game since leaving Bourne 3 years ago. I don't think he'd get in our team anymore. He's not as good as Jeff Scargill. He was touted as a future Premier League player when he signed for us and looked the part as well. But I guess he's probably not going to make it, at least at that level. Mata still playing for Stocksbridge, where he is a legend now. At 34 years old, it looks like they've finally started playing him at left back after all these years, because 8 goals does not look like a Japhet Mata season as a striker. But he's awesome. I want to bring him back as part of the coaching setup, even though he'd be rubbish. And then Leahy retired, age 29, after spending some time at Accrington. So that's the all-time best 11. end of season awards, Hernandez gets player of the season. I can't really argue with that. I know I was in the Pavlov camp and he's got third, even though none of you lot like him. But Hernandez, I don't think we can really argue with there. Who wants him? All big teams want him, and Ipswich. 25 years old, come into the team, had to fight his way past Dean to get into the team, but he's just been he's been like Alvamonte. I've loved him. Lastra, our record signing, that's nice justification there. And Pavlov, third place. Goal of the season goes to Mejia. Let's have a little look at the goal of the season. Looks like he didn't start this game, so he came off the bench to score the goal of the season. That's why he was able to do it. He was cheating. He was full of energy. It's the 93rd minute. He's picked the ball up in his own half. This is a different kind of goal for goal of the season. Picks the ball up in his own half. That is a lovely goal. It's not often I agree with the goal of the season. It wasn't 0-0. It was 4-1. That changed. That was a lovely goal, though. Hernandez, signing of the season, cannot argue. Goran Pavlov, young player of the year at 23. Because that's the other thing to bear in mind about Pavlov, all you Pavlov haters. He's still a young lad as well. Bearing in mind that those 2 seasons, there's a step up in league that's gone on there as well. He's gone up a level, scored more goals, got more assists, more man of the matches, a much better average rating. You got to stop hating Goran Pavlov. He's better than you think, even though he never performs on camera. Team of the year was Hardy in goal, a back four of Barnes, Kitching, Houston and Lastra, Arnautovic and Hernandez in midfield, which if we can keep hold of them, that could be a Premier League midfield. They're both very good. Bruce, Thorndyke and Mejia behind Pavlov up front. Not arguing with any of that, I don't think. I think that is our team of the year. It's not often I completely agree. Pavlov finishes top scorer on 17 goals. Hernandez highest average rating. Fitzpatrick most assists. Again, he's another one who got a lot of hate, but yes, he was awful. He was an awful finisher, but 12 assists, not too shabby. Can't really complain about that at all. Grayson best pass completion. Siri has listened to the whole of the intro to this episode, and I don't need an app. Just stop listening, you weird watch. Grayson best pass completion. Expect big things from him this coming year. I don't think we'll bring Thorndyke back. I think this is the year Casey Grayson steps up and becomes a member of the first team. Pavlov most man of the match awards, and Lastra, we know because he was suspended towards the end of the season, king of the naughty boys club, along with Husic and Arnautovic being rascals as well with red cards. Season review, we finished way above expectations. We were supposed to battle bravely against relegation, and we finished 7th, narrowly missing out on the playoffs, and of course getting to that epic FA Cup quarter-final run where we eventually lost against Arsenal and were cheated out of our money because the FA Cup is full of monsters. This is the big one. What's our budget going to be? I don't know if that's good or bad. 180,000 a week. That's a big increase in wage budget. That's good. That's a good thing. That's significant. The transfer budget's completely pointless, but I guess we don't need to worry about transfers. We don't need to bring in a lot of players. We've got a lot of young players that we brought in last summer who are only going to get better. We just need to complement it with the right players, and we could bring in 4 or 5 like Premier League 30-year-olds who've just been released to shore up some of our positions and mentor some of these youngsters, and we could have a good season. I'm excited. So Mick Powell is looking for us to sell players before buying. That's never been in the 5-year plan before. It was a long time coming, and I think that's fair. It's the only way we're going to survive as a club. We've got to become a selling club. So Mick, I can accept that. He wants us to avoid relegation this coming season, and then over the next 5 years, become an established championship team. So 2 years working towards it, and then become it. I can accept all of that. I think we have to hit the Premier League before the end of that 5-year spell. But if it takes us 3 years to get there, bearing in mind the size of our club, I don't think anyone can complain. Team leaders, Broadbent, Barnes and Hardy. That's going to get a shake-up this summer because I think Terry Broadbent, Mr. Bourne, is probably done. Never really recovered from his illness that he had for most of the season. Barnes is not likely to be back unless he's out of contract, and we might bring him in permanently. But I don't think there's any sense in loaning in a left back this year when we've got such a good young one ourselves. But Barnes, if he's available permanently for free, we're not going to turn him down. And Hardy definitely deserves his spot amongst the team leaders. End of season team meeting. We're looking to avoid relegation. Looking ahead to the next season, I'm optimistic we can avoid a fight against relegation and stay up comfortably if we have the right players. I want to add in there. Is that an option? Let's just say that. You're not going to get very far asking the squad to compete on a level we're not remotely close to. We literally just finished 7th and got to an FA Cup quarter-final. You bunch of idiots. Oh, I've ruined that. I've broken them. There goes any momentum we had. We've got to build them all back up again over the summer. And Kyle Washbourne's lifted a trophy. He's won Scottish League One. Good work, Kyle. You got a little trophy, a little medal to go in your sock drawer. Lovely stuff. 2 winners' medals now. So you got the Sky Bet League 2 winners' medal too. Excellent work, Kyle. Right, as we have no transfer budget, I guess our job now is to wait until July, because for once, most of our better players are already under contract. The days of everybody being in on 1-year contracts are behind us. The majority of the first team are here on 3, 4, 5-year deals. So it's really just a case of deciding which loans we either want to try and keep or maybe try and sign permanently. So it looks like Joel Barnes is out. Oh, he's going bald as well. Joel Barnes is losing his hair and losing his job at Forest. So if we can bring him in permanently, I think he's done enough to deserve a permanent Bourne contract. And plus, if we end up ground sharing at Forest, he'll be able to show us around when we get there. So that's a big advantage as well. Malloy I'd like to bring in again. I think Malloy was a really good addition to the squad in the second half of the season, and another one who can show us around the City ground if we end up ground sharing there. The rest of them, I think Thorndike did a job this year, but Grayson can do that job better next year, hopefully. Christine, as much as I've enjoyed Christine, he wasn't a championship player, was he? He was great for a slower down, but I think we send him back to West Brom with a thanks for everything, Chris note. They release him and he can go and play in League 1 or League 2 and be a star. But I don't think he's going to be a championship player, so I think we've grown beyond him. Kenny Woodrow, we never bothered playing. It was bless him, he came in on a season-long loan. In fact, he came in at Christmas, didn't he? Scored on his debut, and then I forgot he existed. Welcome to the wonderful world of Kev, boys and girls. And Fitzpatrick. Again, we don't need to loan a left back, and I think we can probably do better attackers who won't be quite as frustrating as he was. As much as his creativity and just general flair and creating something from nothing was a joy to watch at times, his absolute incompetence when it came to end product just ruined him, and I don't think I can do another year of putting up with him. So there'll be a few more loans come in. The rest of them, contracts are pretty much sorted. And then I guess looking at all these players who are wanted by other clubs, it's going to be a case of who do we manage to keep hold of or who gets sold for potentially big money, I guess, because all of our bigger and better players, I mean, look at everyone who's in for Arnautovic. Tottenham want him, for goodness sake. This might be our first summer where we properly become a selling club. Where on earth does Sir Mick Powell get his money from? He did not earn £5.75 million in his entire career for home. But he must have got into some smart business afterwards. That is an incredible amount of money to throw into the club. It means for the first time ever we've got a really good scouting budget and can actually afford a youth package as well. So we're scouting the whole of England. Previously, we've only been able to do our own division for senior players. All of a sudden, we can do the whole of England and the whole of England on a youth package and still potentially have some money left over afterwards. Because this one is 54,000, this one is 108,000. So there'll be a little bit left in the kitty that we could probably shift over towards transfer budget. In fact, let's do some real Kev maths. 54 plus 108, that's 100 like, let's move like 40,000 to this over here and increase our transfer budget. Huzzah! Because we couldn't afford the next package up on either of those, so we might as well. I guess a more sensible person puts the tiny transfer budget into scouting budget and pushes that up to UK and Ireland. But that's not me. Also, commercial summary, if you're wondering how much our main kit sponsor is now, we almost got to the Premier League. 55,000. That's a third, less than a third of our weekly wage budget. That needs, if we're not going to get fans, we need to fix this. We need a new commercial director. Samik Pal's trying to do everything. He's throwing his own money around like nobody's business. If he just hired someone to go and get a proper grown-up sponsorship, we'd be a lot worse off. Is there a way to have a look at sponsorships across the championship? Is that something that shows up on stats? Team detail is sponsorship. No. I know you see it at some point. It offers it to you at some point, but I think you have to wait for it to offer it to you. So it's obviously not today. We need money. But I guess now with that loan, we have some. So straight back to Semik again. We can't ask for the ground for a second time, but what we can do is look to improve everything else. Now we've got money all of a sudden. Yes, training facilities. Yes, youth facilities. May as well go for the hat trick. Yes, data analysis. How much is all that going to cost us? So 750,000 on training facilities. 1.6 million. This is worth it for you channel members. You might actually finally get some decent players come through for you to take now. 1.6 million on that and 24,000 on that. That takes half of the money he's just put in. But it does mean if we head over to the facilities page, we're slowly but surely dragging this up to being a Football League level club. We just need the ground to go with it now. First signing of the summer, and it's my usual signing players who are out of contract that I noticed earlier on. I think I've shown you this guy before. It's a weird setup. He's 5'11". He's a centre-back primarily, but he can also play in left midfield and centre midfield, which is a very strange combination of positions to be able to do. Can't play left-back, but can play centre-back or left midfield. Football Manager, you baffle me. People always ask, what's the thing you'd most like to see fixed? Some kind of thing that stops this happening. If he can play there and he can play there, he can definitely play there and there as well. But yeah, Ben Forrest is in. He's Scottish. He's capped at under 19 level. He's a 2-star current ability player with 5-star potential. Apparently, he's become a central midfielder since I tried to sign him as a defender. Maybe midfield is in his future, but he could be a championship level midfielder. So we'll welcome him in. We got a B+ for that. So clearly the fans are quite keen on him coming in, and it looks like my director of football is making an offer for somebody. We need to see what he's up to, because normally he's an idiot. But if that's a loan, it'll be good. His loans are good. He found Fitzpatrick. He found Joel Barnes, though. He was about to sign permanently. So let's just give him a pat on the head. Joel Barnes is in. How have we got a transfer budget of 500,000 all of a sudden? Have we sold a player and I didn't realise? I don't know. I know we've had the thing before where wage budget keeps floating upwards. I mean, we did get our prize money. Maybe I missed a message. And when the prize money, sponsorship money stuff came in, maybe Samik threw some more cash at me that I didn't realise. But I guess we now have £500,000 worth of transfer budget. I don't understand. I mean, I'm not going to argue, but Joel Barnes is in. And wow, okay, 26-year-old Jamie Martin to provide cover in central midfield for 275,000. Are you having a giraffe? Provide cover for a record transfer? No. Just no. Don't try and do permanent transfers. You don't know how to do them. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. And Arnautovic has got 2 more years left on his contract. He's still only 19 years old. He's going to be a Premier League midfielder in the future. We can't... Do I just go with if he wants to go? Do I tell him they have to meet his release clause? That might be the way. He's got a £5.5 million release clause. Meet that. Let's see how high we can push them. I don't know what to do. He's valued at £425,000 apparently, and Have they met his release clause? Wow. Okay. We might be about to sell a player for £5.5 million. 70%. Oh, this is a summer. This is a summer, boys and girls. Can I offer him a new contract myself? Do I want to? Yes, I do. I want to keep him. Oh, my word. It's the sort of player we should try and... No, he doesn't want to... Right, okay, so he's just leaving. We're a selling club. We've got to be a selling club for the time being. Let's give Pavlov a pat on the head because we like Pavlov, as you all know. £5.5 million. My word. Here you go. We were talking about sponsorships before. We don't get a full rundown, but the Championship generated £188 million worth of sponsorship. Everton, £38 million of sponsorship for Everton. We got £65,000 in sponsorship. The average amount of money earned for his sponsorship, £7.75 million per club. We got 65,000. We would be ruined if it wasn't for Simic Powell. Well, in the end, Leicester came in and gazumped Brighton and have signed an Arnautovic for £5.5 million. Leicester, who finished 17th in the Premier League last year, have signed an Arnautovic. It's sad, but £5.5 million is a ridiculous amount of money. Also sad, we missed out on this guy who we were trying to bring in, 100,000. We had a deal agreed with Liverpool, and then QPR have marched in over our heads and bought him as another Premier League club. But he would have come in as our best defender, but unfortunately we've missed out on him. Hope that's not a theme of the summer. But with that move, we've now got over £11 million in the bank. If we didn't spend any money, we'd actually break even for the season with that transfer. But we've got over £4 million to spend. I'm still going to try and avoid spending it until we get to the 1st of July to see what we can get in on free transfers, because if we end up doing that and not spending a penny, that might end up better. We might be able to get better quality players. So we're going to see what free transfers are around on the 1st of July first. And then if we can't find the players that we want, we've got a massive pile of cash to spend. I'm trying to clear the team. I don't know what button I pressed there. There we go. We've had a couple of £1 million offers in for Kevin Riley, which we've been turning down because we don't need to take those offers now. So we've tied him down to a longer contract. He's now got a 4-year deal with us on a bit of a pay rise. But yeah, I mean, if we're getting £1 million offers for him now, how good's he going to get? We've got a good left back there, I think. Confirmation some of the loans are leaving. And I think we'll also get confirmation of who's been released. We don't need to make any decisions about any of this lot yet. Or any of this lot. I thought we were getting the players who were released. Maybe we're not. Querrell's work permit. What is this work permit? We haven't had to worry about work permits before. When's Querrell's contract up? Next summer. I mean, he hasn't played anyway. I don't really care. If anyone wants to buy him, they can have him. I'm looking for the confirmation of the players that we've released, which I thought we were going to get now. But maybe not. Let's see if we get them now. Did I get the date wrong? Was that the 30th? Right, it's now the 1st of July. Where's the confirmation of our players that we released? Where is it? I don't know why we've not got that. Normally we do. We released... I'll just have to show you that on here. We released some players. Where do we go? Here, released players. So, players that have been released. I don't know why he was even showing up. He was at the club right at the start of the game and we released him then, and then suddenly he appeared and retired, even though he's not been at the club all this time. I hope that's not going to crash the game at some point. But players who've been released, the only ones who are of any note, Kyle O'Brien, who was out on loan at Lincoln all last year. He was quite an important player back in League One, but couldn't make the step up. Terry Broadbent has gone. Terry Broadbent it's Mr. Bourne, Terry Broadbent. He would have been fine. He would have been still a part of the squad if it wasn't for, the illness did him. The injury did him. And, Yeah, Terry Broadbent. Hopefully he goes and finds another club down in non-league or something, which is about his level now. Christopher Dodd. This was a tough one because he's been around for a while, but he was only a backup player, and I think we can do better. So there was no point giving him a new deal. And also Gary Mitchell, who was around a long time, played a lot then. Then he was ready to be released, and then I realised I needed homegrown players, so he got a 4-year extension. So he could be my one and only homegrown player. We now have enough to not need Gary Mitchell around anymore. He didn't feature at all last year. And yeah, he's another one who's a non-league player who can now go back to non-league. He earned a good career as a bench warmer for quite a long time. But Gary Mitchell, probably our longest serving player, is now gone as well. Right, we should get confirmation of Joel Barnes signing now, and then we can get sorted with bringing in some trialists. Are we getting the confirmation? We want to look at the team report with the squad actually as it is. So there's the Barnes signing. We get a B- from the fans for him because they should like Joel Barnes. He's been here 3 years. He's been an important part of the team. I like Joel Barnes. See, there's no work permit worry here. I don't remember having to get work permits. How would we have gotten out of it if we'd have needed work permits? I don't understand. So Barnes, confirmation that he's in permanently after 3 years here on loan. And then Mark Sheffel has gone out to Kilmarnock. Apparently the fans were unhappy about him going. He was like our 4th choice left back. Husic wants a new contract. I mean, let's get Pavlov to pat him on the head and see if that helps. It does. Excellent. Balagay's in. I mean, he's offering don't give this man money. He's offering £875,000 for a player who's not good enough to be in our team. This is why he's only good for loans. The man's lost his mind. Give him a little bit of money. He can't cope. We might have to get a new director of football. Let's face it, he's been with us since the start. He's a tier 10 director of football now, losing his mind in the championship. Let's have a look. I haven't actually looked at his stats or anything for a long time. So he's on the scouting and transfers team. He's not very good, is he? But he's been with us so long. And like I said, when people were telling me to bin him off before and bin off other staff, he's not actually done anything wrong yet. So until we have a terrible season and he does something wrong, he gets to keep his job, because we do this the way I do it in real life. And I don't know his stats in real life because we don't get to see him. Right. This is our squad then, before we've done any transfers. And there's going to be a lot of transfers because there's lots of money both in the transfer budget and the wage budget. So this should be a big summer for Bourne. Alan Hardy, is he now officially the best player at the club? Not quite, still Lastra. But Hardy, a 4-star goalkeeper now, the kind of luxury I would love to have in non-league to legend. He's just a very good goalkeeper. Mr. FA Cup, Alan Hardy. Plus, we've still got Williams around as a decent backup. Left back wise, we've got Riley, who we're turning down £1 million offers for, and Barnes. I think we're good at left back. Lastra is fine at right back, or he's good at right back, but we need a backup for him now. Dodd is gone. Hewson's the only centre back that I really trust. I'd like to bring in probably a couple more. Ethan Catamol, he's another one who's been around for a long time and kind of gets to hover around because he's homegrown, but he shouldn't be in our top 4 centre-backs at this level. Likewise, probably O'Driscoll, and Kitching's 32, so we need a couple of centre-backs. Central midfield, Bruce could potentially drop back into central midfield. He obviously made that left wing position his own last year, where he is very good. So I'm kind of taking Bruce out of the equation in central midfield, and he'll carry on there, which means we've only really got Hernandez and Clark as central midfielders. So we need a couple of central midfielders. We need a big, fancy one to replace Arnautovic. And then another one as well. Left wing, we need someone as backup for Bruce. Querol's not ever going to get that chance. He's just going to leave, and no one else on there is up to it. We probably could do with at least 1, if not 2, right wingers, because if we're looking for players who are better than 3-star, I know we're going with 3-star at left back, but Riley's got huge potential, and he'll be a 4-star player by the end of the year. Whereas here, Murray is 24, so he's not going to get much better. Mejia is 29, so he's not going to get any better. So I think we need at least 1 sort of 4-star right winger. Likewise with attacking midfield, we've got a couple of youngsters who've got a lot of potential. Goddard and Grayson, who've both been around for a while. Grayson, I have got high hopes for this year. but it wouldn't hurt to bring in someone to do what Thorndike did last year and just add a bit of experience in there. And then up front, Husic, Pavlov, Scargill, they're all okay, but it would be nice to have a 30-goal-a-year striker come in, which might be asking a lot. I think at the championship level, £4 million isn't going to buy us that kind of striker. But we're just gonna see what we can find. That squad probably wouldn't get relegated even if we didn't add to it. So we've got to be quite careful that we don't rock the boat too much with 15 new players and go silly with the money. This is going to be hard. I've got to be sensible with a huge budget. This is the biggest test of the series so far. Well, as you can see from the budgets down here, lots of transfers have been made. I was saving until I'd got the first wave done before I was going to show them to you. But I've just had double heartbreak. Heartbreak number one, Arnautovic has rejected the offer to come back on loan, even though Leicester were happy for him to come. He's dead to me now. And this will forever be the one that got away. Andy Abbott. We had a contract agreed with him, initially on $2,500 a week. As and when other clubs came in for him, we kept upping our offers. We got to the point where we were offering him $6,000 a week, and he was still going, yeah, that's great. $6,000 a week's lovely. Sheffield Wednesday offered him 8.75. There's no way of me knowing, but he's gone to them instead, and he would have been, like the perfect signing. He would have been a hero for years to come. He would have taken us to the Premier League, and he's gone there. And he would have come here. We were the first to offer him a contract. He was on trial with us, for goodness sake. He was on trial. And it's my birthday as well, the 10th of July. My 50th birthday, I guess. Would that be my 50th birthday? My 50th birthday. And that's the present I get from Andy Abbott. Disgusted with him. So, the transfers we've made so far, and there's still a winger who might come in, but I don't care anymore. Just don't care. We have made a few signings. There's still more who'll come in, but I'm still gutted. You'll notice Liam Kitching is gone, and that's because when we signed Daryl Danks, I'll show you in a second, Kitching went off on one. Oh, you're replacing me. Well, yes, Liam, you're 32 and you're a League One player. Yes, I'm replacing you. And he didn't like the response he got. So, he's gone to Chesterfield, who are newly promoted into the Championship, to prove to me that he's a Championship player. We'll see, Liam. We'll see, because this is the guy who's replaced you. Daryl Danks, 25 years old, central defender. Yes, he's on a lot of money. A lot of these are on a lot of money because they're relatively young English players fresh out of the Premier League. This is the kind of player I said I wanted to sign with the Arnautovic money, and he's much better than any other centre-back we had at the club. He was previously at Stoke for a long time, had a full season on loan at Preston last year in the Championship, and he's come in to partner Hewson at the back, and I think he's a cracking signing, but Kitching didn't. We've also got James Train, one of several players who's come in from West Ham. He's an attacking midfielder who can also play on wide, deep in midfield, up front. Lots of versatility from him. He's not quite as good as Casey Grayson at being an attacking midfielder, but he's got potential to improve, and I just like the fact he's got the versatility to be able to play in all these other positions as well. I think he's just it's always good to have at least one of these knocking around the squad, a useful, versatile player. He's come in from West Ham. We also signed, I think Danny Gilligan came from West Ham as well, another attacking midfielder on a lot of money, £7.5 million value. He's a 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential ability, attacking midfielder. Probably our fanciest signing of the summer, although Danks is probably the best player. And then a couple of youngsters. Jason Macy is a backup keeper with 5-star potential, who was previously at Barnsley. And then Ridian Jones, who's a winger, again, a youngster with potential, 2-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability, will end up being a Championship quality player eventually. And again, in from West Ham, the third signing from West Ham of the summer. So what that means, money-wise, there's still loads of money knocking about the place. And if we have a look at the team report, the summer's far from over. It's only the 10th of July. Abbott would have been, I'm so annoyed we've not got him. The only way this makes me feel better is if we find an even better striker to come and take his place. Or maybe it's a blessing in disguise, and Husic will go on to become a star this season, maybe. We'll see. But Abbott just looked so perfect. But we still, I think, probably need a right winger. We probably still need at least one more midfielder, and an Arnautovic would have been perfect there. But certainly as a starting defence, I think we're sorted. It'd be nice to have a backup centre-back come in, and I think we're sorted in goal. So there's not a huge number of players we still need to add to this squad. We're strong on attacking midfield now, but definitely at least one more central midfielder, one more winger, one more striker, and one more defender. So we need 4 players at least. There's still plenty of transfers to do. 3 more signings complete, including a Football Manager wonderkid, who's now 34. But, you know, the board, the fans, think he's a good replacement for Arnautovic, who I'll continue to try and sign on loan again. He might be interested now he can come and play with Renato Sanchez, who's had over £100 million worth of transfer in his career. I know he perhaps didn't fulfil all of the potential that he had early on when he went to Bayern, because he then went through Lille and Burnley and a long time at Club Bruges, but he's still played 530 times in Europe's top divisions and in Belgium. And plus, Bruges is an awesome place. I like Bruges. They signed him for £25.5 million from Burnley. He's only in on a 1-year deal. Yes, he's on a lot of money, but it's a 1-year deal. We're going back to Bourne's roots here by bringing in an experienced player to sit in our central midfield alongside all the youngsters. We did this on the way up with the likes of Marlon Pack and Chris Schuker early on, who are both now part of the coaching setup here. And if Renato Sanchez comes in, does it for a year and becomes part of our coaching setup, then that's got to be a good thing. He comes in as our best midfield player. I'm not sure if he's officially the best player. No, he's no Daryl Danks, but I think I'm allowed one silly signing, and he might end up being an absolute hero. We're still trying to sign a winger as well as Arnautovic on loan. We brought in 2 other new players as well, though. Bob Zaruli is a 26-year-old Belgian former under-20 international, 3-star current ability, 3.5-star current ability. I was just checking if he was also via Bruges, but he's not. He's never actually played in Belgium. He's been in Spain and he's as good as Hewson. So to me, if he's as good as Hewson, that makes him a good player, because Hewson was awesome for us last year, and I think that's our defence now finished. And also a right winger, Tanguy Zizic, a 23-year-old French former under-19 international, who's a right winger, a 4-star current ability right winger, a good player for most championship sides. He was previously at Lille, so probably, would he have crossed paths? No, because Sanchez was there 10 years before. But if we have a look at our team report now, we still have money left, and this is what our team report looks like. We've got a load of trialists in still. A load of old men that I'm not interested in signing. We'll have a look at this in a second. We're going to bin off the old men. I don't want to sign any more of these trialists who are here, so let's bin those off, and then have a look at the team report, see what we still need to do with what's a little bit of remaining money. So, team report, now they've all gone, if it ever wakes up. You can see we're bringing in quality players, because players who were fine before are dropping down on their star ratings all the time as better players come in. So Pavlov and Scargill now only 2.5-star strikers. Husic, the best one, at 3-star. Ziyech, I'm going to ignore the first 2 letters of his name and just call him Ziyech. And what's his first name? Tanguy. He might just be Tanguy. He's obviously very good on that right wing. Bruce, we know, is good on the left wing. We could still do with a backup for him, and that's who this guy, Gethin Owen, is going to be a player to compete with Bruce on the left wing if we can get him in on loan, but he seems to be taking forever to sign, so I'm kind of expecting him to not turn up in the end. We're sorted for attacking midfielders. Central midfield with Renato Sanchez in there, and assuming Jake Bruce can be in the mix, we're good, but I think I'd still like one more central midfielder to be in there with Sanchez, Clark and Hernandez. A young one now, because we've got a couple of experienced ones, someone right in his prime. We'd like another Arnautovic. We'd like Arnautovic back if we could get him. Left back, right back, centre back, we're all good everywhere. And obviously Alan Hardy in goal. So probably 2 more signings. The winger and another central midfielder. If a striker presents themselves to me, I'm not gonna turn them away, but I'm still sad about missing out on Abbott. So I think I'm going to be disappointed with any striker who comes in at this point. So they may as well not bother. Well, I think it's fair to say the media haven't been impressed with my transfers so far. Media prediction, second bottom. We finished 7th last year and we've strengthened the team. Or sold one of our best players and then reinvested in 5 or 6 who were better than what we had. I think overall the team is better. Yes, we've lost a star, but we've brought in 4 more. We're not going to get relegated, surely. 2 wingers in, 1 out. I know some of you are going to be sad that Querol's gone, but he just, he wasn't good enough for the Championship. Obviously, very important contribution to getting us to the Championship, but there's no room for sentiment here. So he's gone, and we've brought in 2 more. Gethin Owen, who we'd been chasing for a little while, who can just offer some competition on that left-hand side. I do wonder if we might have downgraded from Fitzpatrick here, but I guess we'll wait and see. He might end up being awesome. And then the other one who's coming is just another youngster, Joe Jenkins, who primarily is probably closer to being a wing-back than a winger, but we'll see. Tackling for 3. I know I don't look at these nonsense numbers, but some of you are going to say, Kev, he's got 3 tackling. He's not a wing-back. You don't need to tackle to be a wing-back. You just need to be good at attacking. That's all it is. So they're in, and Arnautovic, I think, has just turned us down again. At some point, I'm going to have to realise he doesn't love me anymore. He doesn't love us the way we loved him. We'll keep trying until the end of the transfer window, because eventually he's going to get to the point, presumably, where he realises he's not going to get a game at Leicester, and no one else seems to want him. So if we're going to take him and play him and build a midfield around him again, like we did last year, you'd think this would be a good place for him to come. Scargill has gone, £325,000 for a 28-year-old striker who scored 1 goal for us last year. That seems fair enough. It does mean we've only got Husic and Pavlov as the only 2 strikers at the club currently. So watch this space. There's a striker coming, I hope. We have a striker. Brian Durkin is an 18-year-old England under-20 international on loan, again from West Ham. But they're basically our parent club at this point. He can play up front, he can play out wide, he can play central midfield. He's a 3.5-star current ability striker, which makes him better than Husic and Pavlov. He's quick, he's already a Championship player, could go on to become a Premier League player, 5-star potential. And unlike the other 2, he's actually got some of this finishing that you lot seem to love so much. So he might actually score a few goals. He's still no Andy Abbott, but you know what? At least we've got 3 strikers now. That's a positive. We've sent one of our reserves out on loan, and we've still got 2 loans that we're trying to confirm. I don't know if they're going to get in before the window closes. We've got not the window closes, the season starts. We've got 2 days left, but we're still trying to bring in a defender and a midfielder. This one is another director of football jobby. This one is one of my own. Who, if we can't get an Arnautovic, let's try and get a central midfielder who's even better than an Arnautovic. I'm just waiting for them to confirm they want to come. If not, we'll try for an Arnautovic one more time. Transfers are coming thick and fast now. Terry Goddard's gone out on loan to Rochdale for the season. Still only 20. He's going to go and play a season in League 2 and hopefully come back ready to either join our squad next year or know that it's time to release him. We did manage to get Kyle Butler, though, and I think this is a potentially massive signing. He's a proper natural box-to-box midfielder, which you know I love. We've somehow, despite losing an Arnautovic, stumbled into a very, very strong central midfield again. So I think we probably don't need to bring an Arnautovic back. Lee Montgomery has gone to Partick Thistle as well. He's another one who'd been around for a while, never really got an opportunity, but he's now moved on. Manchester United. I mean, if I was Manchester United, I'd be embarrassed to take that money. I'd just say, look, Bourne, keep it. We don't need your £5,000 for this player we released years ago. Ethan Catamol's picked up an injury, and I think our squad is just about done now. We do have a little bit of money left because we did the usual adjusting prize money thing. I'd still like a real 4-star left winger. Owen not quite getting the job done out there, but I think we're good everywhere else. Maybe another right back because we've only really got Lastra. Webster's still around. He's another one who's been around for a long, long time, mainly because he's homegrown because he signed so young. So maybe another right back would be handy. But that's probably about all we need at this point. We have the final loan, maybe. I don't even know how many loans we've got. I need to count. Lebahan Gumedi. It wouldn't be Bourne if we didn't have a loan from Forest. So here's our loan from Forest. He's better than Daryl Danks, who was previously our best centre-back, supposedly. So has he come in to be best player at the club? No, Danks still is. Don't trust anybody, especially this guy that you lot all get very upset about. Joseph knows what's what. It's all a ruse. He's lulling you into a false sense of thinking he doesn't know what he's doing. He does. Joseph knows. Right, money-wise, we are about done now. he says, then realises he's still got all that transfer budget because of what he was fiddling with before. There might be one more. You probably won't meet them until tomorrow. And that brings us to the end of the transfer special. Like I say, transfer's still probably not done because there's still over £1 million left. And I love a signing. We've got one potentially coming in here, which would involve £350,000 compensation. But he's a young right back who's got 5-star potential. And I like the look of him because he's going to be up there competing with Lastra for a starting spot, aged 18. So I'm just waiting to scout him a little bit more. Or not waiting to scout him anymore. I'm waiting for more scout reports. I thought I was waiting for more scout reports. It seems I hit analysis by mistake. I'm now waiting for scout reports just to confirm he's worth becoming what would be a record transfer for an 18-year-old. But an 18-year-old superstar right back, I like the idea of that. So he might well be coming in. But this is the summer. Should we try for an Arnautovic one more time, even though we don't need him? Because I'd just like to have him around. And I get the feeling, similar to how Jacob Quinn did many years ago, now he's realised no one else wants him, he might come back. But we've sold £6.25 million worth of players this summer, not spent a penny. We've become a selling club. And hopefully, not judging me on that. I mean, Mick, I've worked towards that all summer. What do you mean you're not judging me on that? Oh, well, anyway, lots of players come in. So how many loans is it? 1, 2, 3, 4 loans at the moment. Did we extend any from last year? Who's still here from last year who came in on loan? I don't think anybody is. No. So I think we've got room for one more loan, whether it's an Arnautovic, whether it ends up being another striker. We've got £1 million to spend. I'd still like a striker if I could find one. They're quite hard to come by. But in the meantime, I think we've got 3 good ones now. We've got one of our better players from last year, our top scorer and third place player for Player of the Year last year, Pavlov, is the 3rd best striker at the club. So that shows how much the whole club has been upgraded this summer. A left winger would be nice. A right back, I think I've found him. Everyone else, we've got Renato Sanchez, for goodness sake. How can this go wrong? If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.